Hello there. You may notice that my voice changed. That's because people didn't like my last voice. Here you go, a new voice. My name is still Elias and I am the host of this show. Today we will talk about prostitution in South Korea.
다시 올게.
In 2003, the Korean Ministry of Gender Equality announced that 260,000 women, one of 25 of young Korean women, may be engaged in the sex industry. However, the Korea Women's Development Institute suggested that from 514,000 to 1.2 million Korean women participate in the prostitution industry. In addition, a similar report by the Korean Institute of Criminology noted that 20% of men in the 20s pay for sex at least 4 times a month, with 358,000 visiting prostitutes daily. In 2004, the South Korean government passed an anti-prostitution law, Special Law on Sex Trade 2004, prohibiting the buying and selling of sex and shutting down brothels. Soon afterward, over 2,500 sex workers demonstrated in the streets to demand the repeal of the law, as they believed it threatened their livelihood. In 2006, the Ministry for Gender Equality, in an attempt to address the issue of demand for prostitutes, offered cash to companies whose male employees pledged not to pay for sex after office parties. The people responsible for this policy claimed that they want to put an end to a culture in which men get drunk at parties and go on to buy sex. In 2007, the government announced that sex tourism by Koreans would be made illegal, as well as Korean women going abroad to sell sex. The courts prosecuted 35,000 clients, 2.5 times higher than the number of those who were caught buying sex in 2003. Meanwhile, enforcement is weak and corruption problematic. There is little evidence that new legislation has made much difference, the trade simply finding other ways to carry on its business. However, more men are being sent to John School for purchasing sex, while a 2010 investigation suggested that 20% of seniors seek out sex workers. Following the enactment of the special law in 2004, there was a crackdown on red light districts, while many of the brothels in those areas were forced to close. The crackdown went as quickly as it came, with the result that prostitution was driven more underground but also became a more competitive business with lower prices and more services. Red light districts in South Korea can compare to those of Amsterdam and Germany. The 4 main red light districts in South Korea prior to the special law are Cheongnyangni 588, Yongsan Station, and Myeori in Seoul and Jagulmadang in Daegu. While not all of them are operating to full capacity, some still exist while being tolerated, not only due to the vast amount of money that is involved in the business, but also in an attempt to control the sex industry. Other sexual services include gator egg massage, an in-call massage where the customer would travel and meet at the masseur's home or quarters, kiss bang, rooms where customers pay to French kiss and fondle women, and Chajang massage, or an out-call massage where the masseur travels to the customer's place, love motel, hotel, or another disclosed location. In March 2016, the Constitutional Court in South Korea on Thursday rejected a challenge to the country's ban on the sex trade, handing a defeat to prostitutes who have campaigned for years to decriminalize the work. The growing trend to liberalize and promote openness in sex doesn't condone or justify its commercialization. Justice Kim Chang-jong wrote in the court's majority ruling, which found that the 2004 anti-prostitution law, under which prostitutes and their clients can be fined and imprisoned for up to a year, did not violate the South Korean constitution. Justice Kim's opinion was endorsed by 5 other justices, but the court was more divided than in past rulings upholding the ban. 3 of its 9 justices fiercely criticized what they called a government crackdown on women driven to prostitution. prostitution by desperate circumstances. One dissenting justice, Cho Yong-ho, called the choice of those women a matter of survival. The majority view insists that prostitution should not be protected by law because it harms human dignity. Justice Cho wrote in his dissent, "But nothing harms human dignity more than a threat to survival." Two dissenting justices, Kim Yi-soo and Kang Il-won, argued that the state should help rehabilitate prostitutes rather than punish them with a criminal charge, but the court's majority argued that decriminalizing prostitution would encourage the sex industry and further degrade sexual morality in a culture where, they noted, a common form of bribery involves jepte, a form of wining and dining that often involves prostitutes. Kang Hyun-jun, the head of a National Association of Prostitutes, said after the ruling that it pushes the poor women to the brink of death. He said his group would take the issue to the United Nations Human Rights Council. The Korean Women Lawyers Association issued a statement welcoming the ruling, saying that if prostitution were legalized, more minors would be drawn into the trade. According to a 2012 study by the Ministry of Gender Equality and Family, 3% of runaway youths have been exposed to prostitution, either as a buyer or a prostitute. There have been reported cases of runaway girls who sell sex over internet chat and live with families in jjimjilbang, or bathhouses, with fellow runaway girl. According to United Voice for Eradication of Prostitution, these teen prostitutes are exposed to such crimes as rape and diseases as syphilis. Recidivism is common, with over half of the girls counseled by The Voice returning to the sex trade, often because of blackmail from former pimps and social ostracism from future husbands and families. In contrast to teen prostitution, women in the 50s, 60s, even the 70s called backhouse ladies are engaged in prostitution in a nearby park in the heart of Seoul.